Hello and welcome to another I Am AAPC interview. I am Heather Johnson. I'm here with Heather Utsinger. Did I say it right?
Yes,
Fellow Heather, how are you on this Monday?
I'm pretty good. How about you?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. I mean, it's a
You're welcome.
Monday, so I'm like fine. But
Yeah,
can we start? Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
sure. Well, my name is Heather. I currently reside in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma.
Okay.
Um, I've actually lived in Oklahoma my entire 41 years of existence, except for 5 years. I lived in Los Angeles from 2017 until uh, roughly 2021. I moved back to Oklahoma. I moved to Los Angeles to get some different kind of experience in the medical coding field with the hospitals there. Um, so in Oklahoma City, it's me and my dogs. I have two. I have a Chihuahua named Pazuzu, who's 5, and I have a deaf Dalmatian named Swayze, and he'll be 3 on Thursday. So he's
Cute.
pretty
Congratulations.
exciting. Thank you. And other than that, I stay busy working and relaxing. I'm a very low maintenance introvert. So
Okay.
that's
Well, I appreciate you stepping out of that
uh-huh.
talk to us. Your dogs sound amazing. I have always
Yeah.
wanted a deaf dog. I recognize that there are challenges that come with it, but I just think it would
Yes.
be like so rewarding. And so,
Yeah. It's almost like they're not trainable, but they really are. They do know that you can teach them sign language. So yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. That's really
Mhm.
cool. Um, okay, you're calling us. Can you tell me about your current role? Are you working from home? Are you in office? What are you currently doing?
Sure. Yeah, I mainly work at home, but with some of our clients, they do want us to come on site to provide education, things of that nature. So in those instances, we do travel on site. I go out to a lot of like the seminars and conventions and things like that. But as far as working goes, my daily work is usually done from home. So.
Okay, and then for those who don't know, can you give us your title, your current role, responsibilities, and if you're comfortable, the organization you're working with?
Sure, I'm an associate hospital outpatient consultant. I do outpatient assessments for facilities throughout the United States. They hire our company to audit their documentation and charges and billing and coding. And then once we do our assessment, we provide feedback to that facility and the staff and the physicians, and we educate them on our findings, whether they've done something correctly or done something incorrectly. We educate them on the guidelines, policies, procedures, and that's pretty much what I do. I do wound care, surgery, pain management, ambulatory surgical centers, provider-based departments. I do pretty much all outpatient services. And I work for Administrative Consultant Service, LLC, which is located in Shawnee, Oklahoma, and they've been around for over 35 years. So,
Cool. That was
yeah.
such a great like synopsis of what you do. And you sound very talented and well versed in all things.
I try to be an expert at everything I do.
I
So
love it. Well, I'm sure you are. Can you tell me how you got into the healthcare industry?
sure. For a very long time, I worked as a workforce management analyst at a call center. And one day I went to work and I was told that the company was moving to Oregon and we were all being laid off. So, very unexpected. I had just bought a house a month before,
Oh
and
my gosh, that's
I
so
wasn't,
stressful.
yes, and I wasn't able to relocate to Oregon because I had just bought my house. So I ended up being laid off and I took a severance package. So in my time of being laid off, I was looking for something that I knew like a layoff would probably never happen again in the industry, such as the medical field. It's an ever-growing industry. There's so many things to do in the medical field that aren't patient care. And that was my thing. Being an introvert, I didn't want direct patient care. I wanted something that was more on the back end.
Yeah.
And so during my layoff time and my severance package, while I was getting unemployment, I went to the local vocational technical school, and I took a coding and billing class. It was a year-long class, but I finished it in 6 months because I was an adult and I needed a job.
Sure.
And immediately within 2 days of getting out of that, I started, I was actually a receptionist at a doctor's office. That was my first foot in the door.
Mhm.
And at that doctor's office, the coder, who was also the office manager slash biller, ended up leaving about a month after I started. And then I slid right into that role. And then from there, I went up from the physician setting at the doctor's office. I went to a facility. Then I went to a gigantic facility in Los Angeles. And then now I'm doing consulting work. So,
Wow. And the
and
rest is history.
that's all pretty much in a matter of, I believe that happened in 2012. So it's been
Okay.
almost 12 years. And I went from being a receptionist to where I am now, which, if you want my opinion, I'm one of the top experts in my field. So
Congratulations. That's
thank you.
honestly impressive. Like, good for
I
you.
I think so. I don't try to, like, I don't have an ego or anything. I have a lot of knowledge. I'm a sponge. I absorb things, and
Mhm.
I like to share what I know with people because sometimes it can be very overwhelming. This career can be extremely overwhelming with everything that you have to know. So in any way that I can help somebody succeed in this career, that's what I try to do because it's a passion to me. I absolutely love what I do. This was a life-changing decision for me. So
Wow. I'm layoffs are so hard, and that I imagine was so stressful having just bought your house, but I'm glad that it ended
yes,
up being like a catalyst for change for a career that you're like so passionate about and good
right.
at.
And yeah, and I'm 41 now, so that was 11 years ago. So I was, 30, and it's just, you think, by the time people are 30, they already have their life figured out, their career, and it's never too late. I mean, most of the people that I work with, at the company I work with now, have been in the industry for over 40, 50 years. And it's just so much talent, and
Yeah,
I can't even tell you how honored I am that they chose me to be a part of their team. So
that's so cool.
yeah.
Okay, can you tell us about what credentials you hold?
Sure, I have two with a HEMA, so I have the CCS and the CCSP,
Mhm.
and then I currently have three with the AAPC. I have the CGIC, the CRC, and the CASCC, and I'm currently studying for the CANPC. So
So your hands are full. You're
yes,
collecting all the credentials. I love it.
I don't want to be a credential collector, but I do feel, and this is from experience, from not having credentials to having the credentials,
Mhm.
you're more sought after for certain things. Like when I got the CGIC, which I'm very passionate about GI,
Mhm.
when I got the CGIC, I had gastroenterologists calling me to ask me questions because
Cool.
of they look at that as you are truly an expert in that field. And, a physician provides patient care. A physician doesn't necessarily know what all the rules and guidelines and regulations are. So that's where we come into play.
Yeah.
And it's just, there's no feeling like it when you have somebody like a physician that respects you to contact you to ask you questions because they know they're going to get the right answers. So,
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah,
That's congratulations. That's very
thank
cool.
you. Yeah,
Okay, so you're studying for an exam right now. I want to talk a little bit about certification exams. You mentioned
sure.
AHEMA. Um, we'll talk AAPC specifically. However, if you have like AHEMA things to say,
Yeah.
feel free.
Oh, yeah.
I just am not as familiar with their organization.
Mhm.
When you're studying for an AAPC exam, because I think that some people watching this maybe are studying for their first exam and maybe they're a little intimidated by it. They don't know what resources will be helpful. Like, I'm curious, you are certifications in for your exam? Like, did you use the study guides, the practice exams? Did you meet with the local chapter? Did those things help you? Not like, what tips do you have for people who are examining for
Sure.
the first time?
For my 3 AAPC credentials, I did do the online course, the study course, which was, came with the study guide plus the online, um, you know, lectures and things of that nature. I did use those for all three and the current one that I'm studying for. I do feel like it sets you up very well for taking the exam. However, I don't think it is a replacement for actual real world experience. For example, like with the one that I'm studying for now, it's for the certified anesthesiologist and pain management coder. And if you don't know anything about that,
Mm-hmm.
you kind of have to have a knowledge about it going into it. Otherwise, it's over your head. Like you're not going to know anything that's even in the study guide or on the course, because it's not it's not teaching you about that. It's really just like gauging your level of expertise is what it is. That's why I think it is important to have on the job experience or real world experience before you get a credential. I can say that I've had experience in everything I've studied for and taken, and I do feel that the training courses and the study guides do prepare you for at least the exam and what to expect question wise. And like, because the study guide contains all the information with the questions that you're going to ask on the exam. It's
Yeah.
not word for word, but if you can get familiar with what's in that guide, you're going to be familiar with what's on the test. And with taking the courses online and then the study guide, with the 3 certifications I've taken with the AAPC and the 2 with the HEMA, but all of them, I've passed on the first try. I haven't had to take a retry on any of them. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
I think, yeah, you bring up a great point, and that is there is nothing akin to, as much as we try, and we do try to replicate some real world experience, there's nothing quite like, and that's not even like coding specific or even like the healthcare industry specific. There's nothing quite like getting your, dipping your toes in the real world to kind of
Right.
have a better understanding. So that makes perfect
Yeah.
sense.
And I think that like a thing that a lot of people that aren't on the back end of it that I see, because I audit all over the country,
Yeah.
and insurance differs from state to state. So it's really hard to make an exam for, like, if I'm not sure what, policies or guidelines that AAPC writes their exams with, but if you're using the California guidelines, those are different than the Oklahoma guidelines. Those are different than the Connecticut guidelines. So that's where like I could get confused on an exam, is like, okay, well, especially on the study exam, because the practice exam, I'll answer a question and to me it's the correct answer, but it's telling me it's not. And so I look at the rationale and it's like, well, that's different from where you guys are writing the test at.
Yeah.
And I do think it would be beneficial if the tests were all based on Medicare guidelines, because those are pretty standard.
Yeah.
Instead of questions being commercial payers, I think it would be more beneficial if you just did it across the board standard and did it all Medicare. So
Yeah. I think that's actually great feedback. Thank you. That's
yeah.
good to know. I had another thought and it left me. Um, okay. We talked about this advice for future examinees. Someone's getting ready to take their exam for the first time. What would you tell them?
Um, it's not the end of the world if you don't make it. Some of the smartest people I know didn't make it the first time, but you just can't be discouraged. You know what you know. Just because you don't pass doesn't mean you're uneducated or that you don't know. It's just some people don't test well. Some
Mm,
people, it's very stressful. It's a very stressful environment. And especially if you have a lot riding on it, like if, some companies give you a raise if you get a credential, and like that could be life changing for you. And so it's just an added stress. So, um, all I can say is that just relax. It's not the end of the world. Um, there's always tomorrow if you don't make it, and just believe in yourself. Second guessing will kill everybody.
Yeah.
Go with your gut. Go with your gut. If you think it's A all the way, all day
Yeah.
long.
There
So,
is like some research, and I can't remember what it is, but it's just like 90% of the time, if you're taking a test and you have like an initial idea, that's the answer. It's when you start to like second guess yourself that
yes,
things get a
yeah,
little messed up.
and also like this is what I tell my people that I know in my personal life about taking these exams is the process of elimination will save you a lot of time. So,
Okay.
um, because you can, if you have 4 answers and you have CPT codes and you're in the a GI question, it's not going to be a CP code that starts with a 9 or a 7. So eliminate those immediately and
Mhm.
just focus on what's in that chapter, what's chapter specific. Um, and that's just another thing about being well versed in the guidelines and the CPT book and the ICD-10 book. If you don't know how to navigate through those books, it's going to take you a lot of time to where
Okay.
you might run out of time to do the exam. So
So become familiar with the books
yes,
and definitely utilize process of elimination.
yes, and study because if you're not 100% certain about something, then the study guide will guide you to where you need to be. It really does. I
Yeah.
have like 4 of them. So, and I have the specialty books and everything. And I mean, they come in handy. I mean, I use them in my everyday life. So,
Good. I love
yeah.
that. I know I gave you an initial run through of the questions we were going to talk about in the beginning, and I did not mention this. So if I'm catching you off guard, I apologize. Um, Outside of exam resources that AAPC provides, are there other AAPC products that you like Practicode or Codify, for example, that like you use? Do you have feedback on those?
Yeah. We do use Codify at my organization.
Mhm.
And it's a plethora of information. I mean, it's overwhelming at times, but it's extremely easy to use once you get it. And once get the rhythm down, I use it almost every day. So it's just, um, it's just somewhere that think of it as like a file cabinet that all your important files are in. So you don't have to go to 16 different filing cabinets. You just go to that one filing cabinet. So.
Yeah. You're pro Codify. It sounds like is everyone in your org or all the coders, do they all use it? Is it like a
Yeah, well, we just have consultants, so we don't
oh
have
sure.
any. Well, I do coding for one of our clients, but for the most part, I do consulting, and all of us have access to it, I believe. Yes.
Cool.
And we do outpatient and inpatient and professional fees, so we have 3 different scopes. So
Got it. Do
yeah.
you use Practica? I recognize that's different. Did you ever use Practicode?
I didn't use Practicode. I'm familiar with it. We use TrueCode for our coding software, and then I also have the medical reference engine through Optum. I mean, I have so many different
Sure.
resources. Yeah,
You
so
need it.
you really do because if you're the expert in the field, then you better have an answer for everything. So
That makes perfect sense.
yeah.
Okay, that's kind of the end of my questions. Is there anything
Mhm.
else you want the AAPC community to know?
I think that with the AAPC community, obviously most people are going to already be in the profession, but it's life changing. The possibilities are endless. I mean, you can you can go so far in this career. I started as a receptionist, and now I'm a consultant for a leading consultant company, and and a funny story is when I was a coder at the first hospital that I worked at, the consultant company that I worked for did our audits, and that's how they knew who I was.
Mhm.
And my auditor, her name was Lori. I would tell her every time I saw her that one day I'm going to have your job. This is the job that I want. This is what I want to do with my expertise and knowledge. And I left that job to go to California. And while I was in California, 3 years later, Lori found me on Facebook and asked me if I wanted a job. And I took her job
Was
because she was leaving.
she was leaving?
Mhm.
Wow, I love that you
Yeah. So
committed.
3 years later, you leave an impact
Yeah.
because, and she kind of described it to me that it was because I was one that was always asking questions. Like if
Mm.
you're giving me feedback or criticism, I want to know, well, why? Why do you think it's that way? I think it's this way. So there was always a really healthy banter back and forth between the two of us. And that showed her that like I wanted to learn. I wanted to know why. I didn't want you to show me, just show it to me. I wanted you to show me why and how. And so that left an impression on the whole company, and they sought me in California, and I actually started working for them contract while I still lived in Los Angeles. And
Wow.
then when I moved back to Oklahoma, I went on full time. So
That is a very cool story. I
yeah,
love
I
that.
th- I think it's cool because it just shows you that, you know, just show initiative. Like if you're getting audited or a consultant is coming to review your work, they're not coming to get you to lose your job. They're not. We're coming to make sure that everything is copacetic, there's no fraud being committed, that no money needs to be paid back, no money's owed. We're trying to help your organization. We're not trying to get anybody fired. And we have all this knowledge and these references that we can use to provide this information to you, because there's been several times where I've, you know, assessed the facility and their coders don't even know what coding clinic is or a CPT assistant,
Wow.
and they're not given those resources. And when we come in and we find that out, we obviously recommend you need to be providing this to your coding staff. Otherwise, they're not able to do their job to the best ability. So, we're like, we're all of us started as coders, like, maybe 40 years ago,
Sure.
but we've all been coders, and that's where like our passion came from. So we're not out to get anybody. We're just out to make it better, a better environment to where, we do assessments and consulting and audits, and then eventually we don't have to anymore because you're doing great.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow, that's a cool story. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, well, I don't want to take up too much more of your day. Your dogs, remind me of their names.
Swayze is my
Swayze is the
Dalmatian,
Dalmatian.
like Patrick Swayze's.
Nice.
And my Chihuahua's name is Pazuzu,
Zuzu.
which is she's a Chihuahua. So Pazuzu is the demon's name in The Exorcist.
Is she appropriately named?
Yes, absolutely.
Nice. Well, it sounds like you've got your hands full. Give them all the kisses and treats because
Yeah, definitely.
they deserve it.
Yes, always.
Thank you so much for taking the time, Heather. I'm going to let you go.
Alrighty, thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.